Today I'm going to show you how to make this easy 10-minute pizza dough that only has 5 ingredients and requires no rise time, so you can have homemade pizza ready in no time. Hey y'all, welcome to Robyn on the Farm. If you're looking for a really easy pizza dough recipe, this one is awesome. It only has 5 ingredients and requires no rise time, so you can have homemade pizza ready and on your table in about 20 minutes. That is pretty incredible. The longest part of this whole process is getting your oven to preheat to 500 degrees. If you have a pizza stone, go ahead and get it out. If you don't, you can use a cookie sheet or a large baking sheet, but I'm gonna use a big pizza stone. This is my cast iron pizza stone that is totally indestructible, and I have made hundreds of pizzas on this. This thing is awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in the oven and let it start to heat up. We're gonna need 1 cup of hot water. I just turn my tap all the way to hot and let it run for a minute. You'll want it to be about 105 to 110 degrees. So just put 1 cup of water in your mixer. Now you can totally make this by hand if you want to. This is just a little bit quicker for me. But if you don't want to get out the mixer and everything, you just make it by hand. Totally works great. So 1 cup of hot water. Now we want 1 tablespoon of sugar. You can also use honey if you want, or you can totally leave out the sugar, but I like it with a little bit of sugar in it. So 1 tablespoon of sugar. Now we want our yeast. This is my active dry yeast. I leave it in the freezer all the time. I get it out right in time to make bread, and I don't let it come to room temperature or anything like that. You can just leave it in the freezer and it will stay good forever. So I'm gonna use 1 tablespoon of this active dry yeast. You can also use instant yeast, rapid rise, whatever you wanna use. It really doesn't matter for this recipe. Next, we want a tablespoon of olive oil. I use olive oil. You can use really any oil that you want, but olive oil is good for this recipe. So 1 tablespoon, just right in your bowl. Our next ingredient is the flour. So for pizza dough, I like to use all-purpose flour. You can use bread flour, but I think all-purpose flour is just fine for this recipe. You're gonna want 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, so just put that right in there over your other ingredients. Now, if you wanna let your yeast proof for a few minutes, you can do that right before you put in your flour, but it's really not needed. If you've used your yeast recently and you know that it's active and good, you don't need to waste those 5 minutes letting it proof. This will work just fine. 2 1/4 cups of flour. Let's put that right on in there. We might need a little bit more flour as it needs, but we wanna watch it. We don't wanna add too much flour from the get-go. So about 2 1/4 cups of flour. You might need another 1/4 cup, but we'll see once it starts to mix. And our last ingredient is salt. This is a really great ancient fine sea salt that I've started using that I really like. It's actually from America and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty pink color, but you can use whatever kind of salt you want. So 1 teaspoon salt, just throw it right into your bowl. And those are all of our ingredients. Now I'm gonna just pop this over into my mixer. I'm gonna let this knead for about 2 minutes. It really doesn't need to knead very long. You just wanna get a nice smooth dough that's gonna be easy to work with and easy to roll out. So if you're gonna use a mixer, mix it on speed 2 for just a couple minutes until it looks nice and smooth. And I'll show you what it should look like. Here is our pizza dough so far. It's only been kneading for about 1.5 minutes. So it's looking pretty good, but I can see that it is sticking a little bit to the bottoms, and it's gonna be a little bit hard to work with for pizza dough. So I'm gonna add a little bit more flour. I'm gonna add about another 1/4 cup of flour just to get it a little bit more manageable to work with. I've let all that flour get incorporated in, and I've let it knead in about another 30 seconds, and now it's looking good. You see how it's not sticking to the sides or the bottom? That looks much more manageable to roll out and make into a pizza. Take a look at this dough. This looks really nice. So from here, I'm gonna put just a little tiny bit of flour on my countertop, just a nice little dusting. And I'm just gonna kind of put it on there and just kind of flip it around a couple times. And this will make it even easier to work with. Now, this is feeling good. This is a nice, smooth ball of pizza dough. This is looking great. Look at that. Doesn't that look pretty? I love pizza dough, and it's so easy to work with. This is a great recipe. Now our pizza dough is totally done. It's totally ready to be rolled out and assembled into a pizza. So from here, I'm just gonna put this on the counter and I'm gonna use my hands to press it out. Now I'm also gonna use my rolling pin, but I always give it a good press out with my hands first. And if you don't have a rolling pin, you can just use your hands, press it out, pull it, however you wanna do it. But I'm gonna grab out my rolling pin and I am just gonna take a minute to roll out this pizza dough. Typically mine will be about 14 inches in diameter and about 1/2 inch thick. but you can totally customize this. You can divide this into maybe 2 or 3 pieces and have personal sized pizzas, or you can make it thin crust or thick crust, however you want to do it. You're just going to have to adjust your cook times a little bit. But I'll show you mine once I get it all rolled out. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Mine's not a perfect circle. I always say around here, I'm going for homemade and not perfection. So if I try to get a perfect circle, I'm gonna be working on it forever. I don't need that. So mine looks about right and it's gonna be perfect. So now I'm gonna grab a piece of parchment paper and I'm just gonna grab this dough and throw it on that parchment paper. Now that I have my pizza dough in the shape that I want, it's pretty circular, it's not perfect, it's totally fine. I am gonna go ahead and put my toppings on. Now I'm making a really simple pizza today. I just grabbed this out of my food storage. I do prefer to cook from scratch and to make everything from scratch, but these are great to keep in your food storage. So I have a couple of these and I am just going to use about half of this jar and just kind of pour it all over. I'm just gonna spread it out with this spatula. Now that that is all spread out, I am just gonna make a really simple cheese pizza. I'm only going for mozzarella cheese on top, not getting fancy with this one. This is just gonna be a simple lunch for me and my kids. So it's gonna be really good today for lunch. So I'm gonna use about 3 or 4 cups of mozzarella cheese on top. And I'm just gonna kind of spread it out and just adjust this to however much cheese you like. You like it really cheesy, add a lot of cheese. If you don't like it quite so cheesy, add less cheese. This is a great thing about making homemade pizza. You get to control exactly what you do to it. And if you want to get really fancy, you can add some olives, some tomatoes, some artichoke hearts. Ooh, you can get really creative. Pepperoni, whatever you want. It'll be really good, even plain like this or really fancy. Okay, I have about 3 or 4 cups of cheese on my pizza. Now it is ready to pop into the oven. Like I said, my oven preheated to 500 degrees. I have my pizza stone in there. I'm gonna put this right onto the pizza stone and I'm gonna let it bake for about 10 minutes. Now, if yours is a little bit thinner, you might wanna do 8 minutes. If yours is a little bit thicker, you might wanna do about 12 minutes. But mine is typically right about 10 minutes. Now, everybody's oven is a little bit different, so watch your pizza so it doesn't burn. But I'm gonna pop this in and I'll show it to you when it comes out. This pizza looks beautiful. I'm gonna get it out of the oven. It's been about 10 minutes, but it's getting a little brown, so I'm gonna get it out really quick. Our pizza is ready. 10-minute pizza dough made this fantastic pizza for us. And now me and my family are gonna have a really great lunch. Everybody likes pizza. You really can't go wrong with it. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bite and see how it is. Very good. This pizza crust has a really great chew. It's not cracker-like, it's not crunchy like some homemade pizza crust comes out. This one comes out really great. I'm grateful that you chose to be here with me on Robyn on the Farm. I will leave the recipe for this homemade pizza dough down in the description. Try it out, let me know how you like it. Make your own homemade pizza. It will save you money and time and your family's gonna love it. Let the kids put the toppings on, so fun. Thanks for being here with me on Robyn on the Farm. I'll see you next time.
Robyn's in the kitchen, dough beneath her hands, wheat from the fields and eggs from her land. Sunlight through the window, a warm golden glow. She's working hard to make that dough. With flour on her apron, loving each need. Ground wheat fresh, sowing her seed. The smell of fresh bread rises in the air. Simple life without a care.